What is up, Sandals Church Youth? It's Kyle from the Lake Arrowhead campus. And man, we are bringing you another amazing week of Sandals Church Youth online. We have so much awesome stuff planned for you guys. We have worship with Taylor Ridge. We have a message from Scotty Kesey, and we have a testimony from Vivi Diaz herself. She's not reporting live, but I feel like it's going to be just as good. And the best part of the night, we have groups at the end of all of that. So if you're new here, I want to welcome you first and foremost. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday night. If you are not plugged into a group, go ahead and text groups to 951-327-7672. It is the best way during this season of life to stay connected with peers and stay connected with leaders who care about you. Coming up, we got Scotty Kesey starting off our new series, How to Raise Your Parents. And I know, parents, you're sitting at home going, wait a minute, did they just tell our students that they're going to have to raise us? I promise you, there's more than meets the ears with this series. It's going to be amazing. He's going to talk about building trust between parent and child. It's going to be so helpful for your families during this season. But before we do that, each week we've pulled back the curtain on a different youth lead where they've shared a little bit of their story about their walk with Christ. This week, we get to hear from Vivi Diaz as she shares her story about how she came to know Jesus Christ.
Hi guys, it is Vivi Diaz here from the Hunter Park campus, and I am super pumped that I get to share with you guys how God started to change my heart, and in turn, honestly, it's completely changed my life. Like, I, at 26, am nowhere near where I ever thought I would be. And I think what I love about how God really started to change my heart was that it wasn't anything crazy or big. Like, it wasn't at a summer camp for me. It wasn't a huge speaker. It wasn't some big miraculous moment. It was honestly when I was in middle school, the end of my middle school years, so shout out to you middle schoolers. I remember being at home in my room because I was in trouble all the time. So kind of like quarantine life too. Like, straight up, quarantine has made me really nostalgic for this time. But it got me thinking because it was really this time where I had to just be honest with myself. And I wasn't just like, I'm gonna be honest with myself. It was that everything in my life, everything, was too painful and too hurtful to ignore. That I even went to a Christian school, and if anything, up till that point, the Christian school is what made me never want to be a Christian. I was like, they're fake, 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 fake. But here was this time where I had to be real and honest with myself about pain and brokenness and just where I was at and where my life was at. And I just remember not being able to escape that Christianity, people being fake, was the problem I had with it. But here I was not being real and honestly being fake about what was actually going on inside me. And so I remember being in my room, and I was probably really crying and upset about something, but I just remember thinking to myself, I'm at my last rope. Like, I got nothing else. And then I remember thinking through this God of the Bible, this Jesus that I've heard about, whatever, why not? Like, I got nothing else to lose, like, why not? And the thing that was so compelling to me was this thought of, out of everyone in my life, I didn't know anyone that would do what Jesus did for me, knowing everything about me, the things that I've done, the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm gonna do, like sinful things, but then also knowing the pain that I felt, the things that I went through, the things that I'm going through, the things that were gonna happen, and choose to take all of that for me in my place. And then still want a relationship with me in spite of whatever that story looked like. Because for me at middle school, there were two things that made me not want to believe in God. One was that there are so many different religions in the world that say that their way is the right way. What makes Christianity the way? And the other thing was, I don't want to commit to something that I know I'm going to fail at. Like, I don't want to do this 100-year commitment that I know I'm going to fail at. And that's when it hit me that what Jesus did on the cross, who Jesus was, why he did that and wanted a relationship with me, was because he wanted a relationship. That Christianity wasn't just this religion, but it's a relationship. And so, end of middle school, I was just not able to escape the reality and the pain that I felt that pushed me to that reality that I don't know anyone else in my life, that, like, I can't name a person, and I don't think I ever will be, that will do what Jesus Christ did for me, and that still wants me after that, knowing every single part about me. So that's what got me really wanting to start a relationship with God, and so I did. And then 2 years later, when I was in high school, I thought, this is impossible. Like, I want to, I believe in it, but there's no way, not in this generation, like, it's not applicable at all. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's because I didn't know that church was a thing. Like, I didn't know that getting involved in church was a thing. And so I started getting involved in church. I actually went to the youth group thinking it was super weird. I was a kid that would come like right when things started, so late, not much has changed. And then I would leave right when things were done so I didn't have to talk to anyone. But the minute that I pushed in further, that I went a little bit deeper, was the minute that honestly God started to take me deeper, that I started to see that this impossible lifestyle actually was possible. And so for me, like teenage Vivi, this combination of seeing Christianity as not just a religion, but a relationship, that's what did it. And what's so cool is that it wasn't this big thing, but it was God slowly starting to change the things inside of me that then started to change everything about me. And so that's why I say, like, my life right now is totally not what I thought it was gonna be. Like, I wish I could sit down with you guys in person and sit down and tell you more. Maybe we could do that. But for now, I just want to encourage you guys that no matter where you are, especially even in quarantine, sometimes it doesn't take this big thing to be changed by a big God. Our God wants to change you, and He wants a relationship with you. So thanks for listening to me, and hopefully that was a little encouraging.
Hey, what's going on, Sandals Church Youth? As Kyle mentioned, we're going to be hopping into a 2-week series. I think it's going to be a really fun conversation between you and your parents during this time. Now, the past few months, we've been in quarantine, we've been at stay at home, and for most of you, you've been with your family quite a bit, right? You probably have created some fun memories with your family, whether that's playing games, whether that's, cooking together, whether that's going on walks, but I also know that there are probably not so fun memories that you've created and you want your siblings to leave you alone. You feel like your parents are always around and asking you questions. Look, I get it. I'm raising a 2-year-old and I'm with him 24/7, and most of the times, homie needs to back up and mind his own business. Like, I get it. We're stuck. We're in home. But here's the thing in this series. I think there's a lot we can learn in this series, and more specifically when it comes to our relationship with our parents. But I also know every family is different, so I don't want you to tune me out quite yet. Like for some of you have great parents, right? And I want you to know that you should be thankful for that. That you have great parents who care about you. They may discipline you, but it's because they love you and they care about you. They provide for you. And you should be thankful for your parents who are great and love you. But for others of you, I know that that's not the case for you. When, maybe your parents aren't even in your life at the moment, or the thought of them makes you angry. Like for me, if I go back to junior high, I was raised by my grandma most of my life until I was about 12 years old, and a family came in and adopted me as their own. But, my mom passed away at a young age, and I don't know who my dad is, and I know that there are some of you who are tuning in tonight that come from broken families, that when you think of a parent figure in your life, it makes you angry or it makes you sad. But either way, there is someone in your life who is playing the role of a parent, and during this series, that is the person I want you to be thinking of. Whether that is your grandma, whether that's your grandpa, whether that's your aunt, your uncle, maybe it's your best friend's parents who've stepped in and they took on the role of mom and dad for you, whoever that is for you. Those are the people we want you to focus on in this series. Now, in this series, Justin Knowles and I are going to help you learn how to correct some mistakes from the past, fix the drama in the present, and live at peace with your parents. And tonight, we're going to be looking at having trust with our parents or parent figures in our lives. Now, I want to start by acknowledging something that's true, that parents are crazy, okay? And if you're listening, I'm not saying you're cuckoo crazy, but kind of quirky crazy, right? I'm now a dad of 2. I just had a newborn, and I could sense the quirkiness coming out of me of just being a dad, right? I remember growing up, and my grandma, like I said, I was raised by my grandma early on. She wanted to take a picture of me, and it wasn't just any ordinary picture. She dressed me up in a full-on cowboy outfit. Now, if you know me, I do not like cowboys. I do not like country music. I am not a fan of those things. And when I say cowboy outfit, I'm not talking about like Woody costume. I'm talking about chaps, Wranglers, the shirt, the hat, the whole 9 yards. And to make it even worse, my grandma created a backdrop at our fireplace that had all the cowboy memorabilia and took pictures of me. And now it's framed and on display for people, right? You could probably think of some quirky pictures that you got growing up, and it's just kind of what parents do. They love that kind of stuff. They think it's cute. They think it's adorable. And we look back and we're like, what were you thinking kind of deal? But then there are also awesome memories that I have with my parents, right? Like I said, when I was 12 years old, there was a family that came in and kind of adopted me as their own. And they're people who played the role of a mom and a dad for me growing up. And we'd go to Idaho on summer vacation and we'd have fun. And we would our cabin was on the lake and we'd get sea-doos and we'd rent a boat and we'd go inner tubing and we'd be out on the lake. And it was just so much fun. And I have so many memories of my parents and my grandma as they were raising me, both the quirkiness and the fun moments. And you're probably replaying some of those moments and thinking of some memories that you'll cherish forever. So as you begin to think about your parents and when it comes to trust, these are the questions I want us to be thinking about. Is first, what builds trust with your parents? Like what really builds trust with your parents? And then secondly, what breaks it down? And I got a visual representation here. I got some blocks that I want to kind of give you a visual for, to give you an idea of what it looks like to build up trust, but also to break trust down. So I'm going to talk about a scenario. So we're going to go with scenario one, okay? So scenario one, you're at the movies, okay? You're at the movies with your friends. You're going to see Avengers Endgame or whatever the new movie is. And we'll just go with Avengers Endgame because I know it was like 4 years long, okay? You have a set curfew. Your mom and dad want you home at a certain time. For me, it was 11 o'clock, right? They don't want you to be home late. They want you to be home on time. And the movie eventually runs late. It's going over, and you know you're not going to make it back for curfew. You start thinking to yourself, man, I don't know. My parents are probably in bed. I should probably reach out to them. I should probably text them. But I don't want to bother them. I don't want to wake them up, right? But you think to yourself, you know what? Moms have these mom senses that once curfew hits, they wake up and they know whether you're home or not, right? So you think to yourself, you know what, my mom's going to know and find out. So you send a text, hey, Mom, I'm so sorry. The movie's running late. I will be home as soon as I can. And what you do in that moment is you start building trust with your parents, right? You begin building this trust tower, not the Trump Tower, the trust tower, right? And then you continue to build on that. The second scenario, right? Your parents are leaving. Your parents are going out for the day. They give you a whole list of chores to do. And, you know, you're like, okay, Mom, okay, Dad, I'll get those chores done. I'll go mow the lawn. I'll do the dishes. I'll clean up my room. I'll vacuum. I'll do all these things. And they eventually leave. And the temptation of video games come in. The temptation of the Netflix show you've been watching come in. And you think to yourself, you know, maybe I could probably play a few video games, or I could probably watch a show and get away with it. And then you think to yourself, you know what? I would probably miss my chores. I'm going to get my chores done out of the way because I want to honor my parents in asking that request. And so you do your chores, you mow the lawn, you take out the trash, you clean your room, and they come home and the list is done. You begin to build more trust with your parents. Now, the flip side is also true on breaking down trust with your parents. Let's go back to the movie scenario. You're at the movie's running long. Okay, you think to yourself, you know what, it's okay. I'm not going to be home super late. I know it's going to be past curfew. I don't want to bother my mom or dad. So you don't text them, right? You don't send the text. Your mom has the mom senses and she wakes up and she sees that you're not home. She gives you a call and you don't pick up because you're worried of what their response will be. You begin to lose the foundation of the trust tower that you've built with them. The foundation begins to be removed in the tower and the trust becomes weaker. Take the second scenario. Your parents leave you with chores and they leave the house and you're like, man, I would much rather just be playing video games and wearing my sweats and eating Cheetos and chicken nuggets and whatever it is. And so you decide, you know what, I'm going to put the lists off to the very end. So you start watching Netflix, you start playing video games, and you look at the time and you realize, oh, my parents are going to be home in 30 minutes and you're hustling and you're trying to get things done. I know you've been there. I've been there before many, many times. And your parents come home and they open and they see you doing chores and they realize you didn't honor what they asked, and you begin to lose this foundation and the tower begins to fall and you lose trust with your parents. If you have something to write things down, I want you to write these two things down. Firstly, trust is built or destroyed with every decision. Trust is built or destroyed with every decision. Just as you saw in the visual, the decision to call or text your mom about being late for curfew built trust with your parents. But in the same way, the decision of not reaching out to them also started to lose some foundation of trust. So trust is built or destroyed with every decision you make. Second thing, write this down. Trust takes time to build and seconds to lose. Trust takes time to build and seconds to lose. Look, you could build, but one decision could ruin it all. The tower could come crumbling down, and you will take a lifetime or however long it takes to build that again. Now, as I've grown up and as I've had parent relationship, I've noticed that one of the best ways to begin to gain trust with your parents is to communicate with them. Did you notice in both of the scenarios it took communication, right? You knew you were going to be late, so you needed to communicate. So you built trust with your parents. You didn't want to communicate, so you lost trust with your parents, right? One of the best ways to begin gaining trust with your parents is to communicate with them. Now, I realize this. I realize that this is pretty much the exact opposite to everything you're feeling right now as a teenager. But I promise you this will pay off, because here's the thing. I know it's hard to believe, right? You may have your parents in the room and you may be looking at them. I know it's hard to believe, but your parents were young at one time. Your parents were also teenagers. They were in the same position you were once in at one time. Right? However you define old, right? My students at Woodcrest, they say I'm old. I'm 27 years old. And yes, I have two kids, but now all of a sudden I'm in the old category. So however you think your parents are old, they were once in your position. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure you don't make the same mistakes that they made. They're trying to protect you from the dangers of the road ahead. It's out of care. It's out of love that they are communicating. So by communicating with them, you can reassure them that you're watching the road carefully and are going to avoid trouble when it comes your way. Now, there's a book in the Bible called the Book of Proverbs. If you've ever read the Bible, or maybe you're new to Christianity or new to faith, it's in the Old Testament. And it's a book on wisdom, but more specifically, it's this book on wisdom of a father writing to his son, unpacking wisdom basically from life lessons and life experiences. And this man, his name is Solomon. And if you've ever read Ecclesiastes or looked at the life of Solomon, you could probably pinpoint some areas that he could teach from what he's experienced to give life lessons to his son. And so here are a few passages in Proverbs on a relationship with a father to his son. And I want us to think of it as parents to their children, giving wisdom and what it looks like to listen to that wisdom and what it looks like not to listen to that wisdom. The first verse is Proverbs 13, verse 1. It says, "A wise son heeds his father's instruction, but a mocker does not listen to rebuke." Proverbs 10:1. "A wise son makes a glad father, but a foolish son is a sorrow to his mother." And then Proverbs 7, verse 1. "My son, keep my words and treasure up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart." It's coming from this place of care. It's coming from this place of love. And just as I shared, your parents are coming from a place of care and love. They've been there, they've done that, and they want you to avoid the same things. And Proverbs is telling us and walking us through that it is wise to listen to our parents, to trust our parents when they know our best interests. Because I know that some of you are 12 and you think you know everything. I know some of you are 16 and 17 or maybe 18 and you're about to graduate and you feel like you know everything. But trust has got to be the foundation, and it comes through communication, and it comes through the life experience from your parents. And trust, again, is the very foundation to a good relationship with your mom and dad. You need to trust them, and they need to trust you. So here are 3 ways that you could begin gaining trust and building trust with your parents during this time. So if you have a pen or paper or notes, you may want to write this down. Number 1, to begin to build trust and gain trust with your parents, honor and obey them. Honor and obey them. Ephesians 6, verse 1 says, "Children," if you're children, this is to you, "obey your parents, because you belong to the Lord. For this is the right thing to do. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you. and you will have a long life on the earth. Now, what does honor mean in this passage? Simply put, it just means respect your parents, right? Regardless if you agree with them or not, which probably there are times where you agree with them, and there are probably times where you don't. Regardless if you agree with them or not, or the decisions or the discipline that they want to put in place, you are called to respect and honor them and follow their guidance. Look, and the key passage or the key phrase in this passage, I love this. It says, obey, children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord. It is the right thing to do. You honor and obey your parents because you honor and obey God. Because you belong to the Lord, because you have a relationship with God. It is the right thing to do. And Ephesians says you will have a long life and things will be well for you. So honor and obey your parents. Number 2, communicate well. I know there are a lot of you who don't communicate well. There are some of you who leave people on red, and that is messed up. Do not leave people on red. I know that there are some of you who ghost your parents, who ghost your friends. We need to begin to communicate well and communicate better with our parents. And that means telling your parents what's going on, keeping them in the loop on what's going on in your life. Don't blindside them later on. Avoiding a confrontation early on will only lead to a bigger problem. When your parents need to know something, communicate that to them. When your grades begin to slip, begin to tell them early on, communicate. Communicate and share that you're struggling in your class and you're working to get your grade up rather than getting the report card and having an F and them seeing, hey, Scotty, what's going on? Why did you get an F in your class? Communicate with them. Keep them in the loop with what is going on. And then third and last thing, tell the truth. Tell the truth. There is nothing more powerful than telling the truth. Look, you don't have to keep your story straight. Just tell the truth, accept the punishment, and get back to pouring into trust again. Look, if you want to be trusted, you need to be trustworthy. If you want to be trusted, if you're wondering and you're asking to yourself or think your parents don't trust you, there may be a reason why they don't trust you. You need to begin to position yourself to be trustworthy with your parents, and it starts with telling the truth, because lying is a huge trust buster. You could build a foundation, you could build a tower, and you could build it as high as you want, and you tell one lie and it could come crumbling down. Lying is a huge trust buster. And here's the thing too. If you're caught lying multiple times, it's difficult to rebuild that trust over time because your parents don't know whether or not you're telling the truth. So maybe tonight, maybe starting this week, you need to begin pursuing truth with your parents and begin building a foundation of truth and trust with your parents. So as we close, my question for you is, who's the adult in your life you need to begin to build trust with? Who's that adult? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it both your parents? Is it your grandma? Is it your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle? Who is that person that you need to begin building trust with tonight, this week? Because here's what we want for you in this series, is we want you to love your parents and we want them to love you. We want you to have a thriving relationship now within quarantine and even beyond quarantine. We want you to begin building a foundation of trust, a healthy relationship with your parents that will thrive. Because as we learned, it will be well for you. It will be good for you and your parents. So one last thought as we wrap up, and if you have something to write this down, if you don't get anything else out of this message, this is what you need to hear. You are trust building or trust busting with everything you do. Every decision you make, everything you say, how you communicate, how you honor and obey, how you tell the truth, you are trust building or trust busting. Work hard this week to begin building a relationship of trust with your parents so you could thrive in quarantine and beyond and having a healthy relationship. Now we're going to transition into a time of worship, and I don't know about you, but this has been a time that I have enjoyed, I have loved, and wherever you find yourself, whether you're in your living room or your bedroom or maybe you're on your phone out and about, use this as an opportunity not to exit out and tune out worship, but use it as a time to worship. Maybe reflect on what God is trying to communicate to you and what you just heard. So whatever way you feel led to worship, stand, sit, kneel, sing, pray, whatever it is, do that in this moment and let's worship together.
Hey guys, we're about to sing together, and we're gonna sing the song that I've seen you guys sing together so many times. Man, I've seen you guys sing this up at camp on the mountain. I've seen you guys sing this here on Wednesday nights, on Sunday mornings. Man, I've seen you guys sing this with your hands raised high, with tears in your eyes, kneeling on the ground, hugging your friends. Man, our settings may have changed. You know, you guys are at home and we're here, but man, that hasn't changed who our God is. Man, this is still the same God that we were worshiping on the mountain. And so let's continue to worship him. Let's continue to cry out in the exact same way. Let's lift our voices together. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. You're more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I'll open up my heart to you. I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. And take me back to where we started. I'll open up my heart to you. Come on, I'm caught up in his presence. Let's sing this out. I'm caught up in your presence. I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. Come on, we're not here for blessings. We're here to worship him. I'm not here for blessings. Oh no. Jesus, you don't know anything, and more than anything that you can do. I just want you. Yeah, we just want you. Man, in this moment, man, I just want to encourage you guys. Maybe you haven't been spending time with the Lord like you should. Maybe you haven't been spending time in the Word and in God's presence. But right now, right in this moment, man, I want to encourage you guys to cry out to him. Man, our God is waiting. He is waiting for us to cry out, man. So let's sing this out together. We just want him. I just want you and nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else will do. want you. Nothing else, oh no. Nothing else, nothing else will do. I'm caught up in your presence, and I just wanna sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never wanna leave. We're not here for blessings. I'm not here for blessings. Oh no, Jesus, you don't owe me anything more than anything that you can do. I just want you. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do.
Man, what an amazing reminder of God's love and faithfulness to us. And just that reminder that he doesn't desire us to be alone. And we're about to jump into groups. And this is the perfect time for you to not be alone. This is the perfect time to connect with students and leaders that can meet you right where you're at and talk to you guys and see you through this difficult season of sheltering in place at home. If you want to get plugged into a group, remember, go ahead and text GROUP to 951-327-7672, and we will get you plugged in tonight. No waiting, no hesitation. There is somebody on the other end of that line waiting for you. But I want to thank you guys for spending your Wednesday night with us. Have a great time in groups. We love you.